call the roll. Mr. Emery Count.
Tim Davis. Carol Killian.
Here.
Larry McDermott.
Here.
Ruth Traeger.
Here.
Bishop Derek Triplett. Here. Phil Ellinger. Thomas Blond. We have a quorum.
Okay. Robert Hart, please. Economic Development Chairman for the manager for Volusia County.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Oh, excuse me. Time out. I just ran out minutes. Anybody have any change in minutes?
Other than the change it goes to 8:30.
Yeah, I looked them over, and the meeting was called to order at 8, not 8:30.
8:30
I
to 8.
moved to
8:30, I mean, not 8.
It was 8:30.
So any other changes?
I moved to approve.
Any second? Any, all in favor? All right. Okay, now, I'm sorry. I was really trying to give you a good build-up, too. And I was warming up.
I'm sorry.
Testing our flexibility, Mr. Chair.
Report was really good. I mean, that you had how many were there? Because it was
140.
a huge crowd, huh?
140.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna have to put on a mezzanine.
We'll just have to expand out into the terminal. I don't know.
No, it was really good.
Maybe we can open up the
People
doors.
like good news. You know, people like that flow of the good news.
Absolutely. I certainly have no appreciation for what your fellow board member was experiencing 2 or 3 years ago as he stood up every quarter and gave more and more not so encouraging news. So hats off to Phil for carrying us through that period of time. But so as you mentioned, the recent Q1 report, it's available on our website. If you haven't seen it, that's at floridabusiness.org under the Data and Key Reports tab. If you missed it in the paper, April unemployment rate for the county or the MSA was reported at 5.7%. So that's the first time we've been below 6% since about May of 2008. Also, I thought was notable, there was a 21% reduction in the number of unemployed as compared to April of 2013, first time under 15,000 unemployed since relatively that same period of time, early in 2008. If you're not aware of it, today and tomorrow there's a statewide hurricane exercise that's underway. Obviously in advance of the beginning of the hurricane season, starting next Sunday, I believe. If you have businesses who are interested in trying to assess their readiness for the hurricane season, as well as other times of the year, the American Red Cross has a pretty easy tool to use. It's on the web at www.readyrating.org. It's about a 100-question test that a business owner could go through in, I think, probably 20, 30 minutes, and it, if nothing else, would highlight to them what functional areas of their business might require a little bit more attention. Beyond that, I just wanted to remind everyone that there is a workforce summit that's being hosted by Daytona State College tomorrow at the ATC. It begins at 7:30 with a little bit of networking, and the event's underway at 8 o'clock. I think it lasts for 2 hours. I stand corrected. It is next week. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
May 28th. I have it written down right here. I've just gotten a week ahead on the calendar. My apologies. May 28th, Daytona State College at the ATC. And then since real estate property values are such an important part of our economy, I thought I'd also mention that VCARD is hosting the Real Estate Forum June 6th. Did I get that one right? June 6th. And that will be at Halifax Plantation. And that concludes my remarks, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
For both you and Keith, I attended a similar real estate event in Orlando a couple weeks ago. It's put on by ECL. What was really notable about this, when they had the head economist from Wells Fargo, they had about 5 or 6 major developers. Now, these are developers mainly for apartments, but some industrial and commercial construction, that type of thing, mostly retail. But they had one young lady who does. She was from California, flew all the way from California, and she had a portfolio of properties in the state. And she said one of the hottest properties right now is the flex space. Flex space around major distribution areas. And we chat a little offline about our new distribution project, and she wasn't aware of it. But she's mainly centering on Palm Beach area, Orlando, Tampa, in the large metro areas. But I thought that was kind of unique in that, that it would be businesses spawned from, now they're probably small businesses, but service businesses, those types of things that would be servicing that type of, it might be the refrigeration company, someone that fixes the pallet jacks, all these types of different things that, they would need, and so I didn't know if any of that activity was starting to spawn. I know in the paper this morning, there was a large article about the project. It hadn't closed yet, and they're already starting to clear the land. So when you do that, when you're an owner of a property, you're pretty doggone certain that it's going to close. Have you seen anything like activity like that, either way? Where people, business maybe trying to expand in that area to find out if there's any flex space available? As far as I know, there's none around that area.
To my knowledge, activity like that is so far been contained to just discussion and dialogue and what if this, and we might be interested in that. I'm not aware of anybody that's specifically looking to start looking at flex space in and around that quadrant of Daytona Beach just yet.
Yeah, if y'all get an opportunity, you might want to try to put that on your calendar. Somebody to attend that. It's pretty interesting. You got some major players in the real estate industry, attend that thing. I would just ask to attend by one of the title companies. It was pretty interesting.
Will you
Keith,
send me information on
I will be glad to. I will send you, Keith.
Thank you.
Keith Norton.
Thank you. And I'm with Team Volusia. We continue to be on the road quite a bit. And Larry, I would agree with you. A lot of people don't know when I travel around the country about all the great announcements and capital investments that we have been able to announce, thanks to your help this last year. Earlier this month, I was in New York visiting site location consultants, and those are the folks that are hired by the companies to validate communities or identify communities in which they should consider locating or relocating. And many of the consultants were extremely excited about the developments here in Daytona Beach, Daytona Rising, One Daytona, Hard Rock, the Proto Group Hotel, plus the infrastructure that is occurring, the $750 million of infrastructure cost. Because the project has not been formally announced, I did talk about our 800,000 square feet distribution center, and they had not heard that either. So it's very important to get that word out across the country as these consultants are considering areas for distribution centers. And that is a major mega distribution center which will put us on the map. Denise, our director of business development, is currently at ICSC. Recon, that's a global show of developers and retail end users in Las Vegas, Nevada. She's there with our chair, John Wanamaker, plus ISC and Jacoby Development. So that she has already had many appointments with and meetings with developers and end retailers. Just earlier this week, I spoke at the 11th Annual Florida-Japan Summit in South Florida. And Japan, for many of you, I know you realize, is the largest international investor in Florida for companies in Florida, trailed by the UK, Canada, and Germany. And Japanese companies employ over 21,000 people in the state of Florida. So it's very important for us to keep Volusia County and Daytona Beach out there in the eyes of the Japanese. We had several representatives from the Japanese embassy in Washington, plus the Consul General of Japan in Miami, plus Japanese company affiliate for us to be in front of those folks. Our activity level still increases. We have several projects that have continued to look at Daytona Beach seriously. Of course, we've all read about Project Alpha in the paper today, but Project Ringtone is a customer support center that has put Daytona Beach on as a shelf community, meaning that the next contract they get, they would like to consider Daytona Beach. That's been over a year, so I've actually made an appointment with their headquarters decision makers next month, and I will be visiting headquarters. Project Seal is a manufacturer from the southeast that is looking at properties here in Volusia County and is considering a build-to-suit in Daytona Beach. That is a great company employing about 40 people relocating from the southeast. So a lot of activity. We continue to get project interest from Enterprise Florida as well. So the deal flow is going well. The main thing is to bring them from a lead status down to a project, and then hopefully shortlisting Volusia County as a location. Any questions?
Someone like Project Dial, that's mainly office in Deltona. Is that for a company and they have some type of a branch office, or?
It's Dial is a contact center where it's a large company that does work for Fortune 500 companies and other companies, and then they go under the banner of either these Fortune companies or banks, and they take inbound questions, either technical support or inbound calls of applying to that particular product, whether it's a credit card or what. That is still, Dow has not made a firm decision on Deltona. We have, because of the incentive package offered by Deltona, it has brought other interest to the city of Deltona. So we're not just sitting back waiting for Dow to hit their decision. Other companies are interested in Deltona and Volusia County, so we continue to work with them. There is no formal legal paperwork that Deltona has supplied to Project Dow about their incentive program.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one little comment. You mentioned the infrastructure improvements out at I-4, I-95, and what have you. We just had that announcement about the Highway Trust Fund running out of money. So I think we have to watch that, see how that impacts us overall.
When was that announced?
I want to say a couple of days ago.
Okay, so after I went to New York. Okay.
Yeah.
My credit.
He said it might impact.
Okay. And we have highlighted the Sunrail station and the TOD around Sunrail in DeBerry. That's a big deal for our consultants in that they're used to larger metropolitan areas with public transportation of that type.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, it seems to me that Sunrail will also pull Orange County and Seminole County workers into the Volusia County Forest View. Landed a couple of these projects on the west side.
That's a concern of mine. It's what I wanted to bring up and kind of ask, has there been any study relative to that? I guess the workforce issues are on my mind because, last couple of days been in Orlando for workforce board chair training. And has there been any impact study concerning, because as we develop all of these opportunities for jobs, how do we ensure that the Volusia County residents are actually getting them? And is there a way to look at that? And I don't know if there have been conversations with Robin at CareerSource or relative to that.
Well, you know, when we do market, when I market, particularly West Volusia, I take the example of all the outflow of employees to the surrounding counties in Metro Orlando. So it really is an advantage to us because these workers would prefer not to drive to those places of employment. In fact, I met with KPMG that did a lot of the work on the Verizon Center for Excellence. And when I met with George Toji at KPMG in New York, I reiterated the amount of outflow that we had from the western part of Volusia County. And he used those figures. He used our labor force to justify that center being placed where it is in the adjoining county. So I think the more we talk about the availability of workforce and the outflow of workforce to other employers outside the county, that can be a defense to bring the companies here to Volusia County. Because employees would much prefer to not commute across I-4 to those employment centers.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nancy? Nancy Kiefer is the President and CEO of the Chamber.
Good morning.
Being here.
Emery, your question was actually a good segue into the first part of my report. On Friday, we have the Secretary of Transportation coming into Daytona to speak to the business community. Ananth Prasad will be here and addressing us on Friday morning. It'll be out at the Holiday Inn LPGA. Great opportunity to ask him some of those tough questions about the funding, and we'll be spending some time with him this evening as well in a very informal, small setting. So it's really great to have access to, high-level administration in Tallahassee as well. We just graduated our 34th class of Leadership Daytona. We had a great day on economic development. It is now one of the sessions and one of the most exciting sessions that we have there when we have great speakers like Keith and Rob to talk to us about economic development. I bring it up because I don't know if everybody's aware that the group is also challenged by a local CEO to come up with an MBA-style project within the 12 weeks of the class. This year the challenge came from Hyatt Brown, and the challenge was to the class to figure out how to attract the 25 to 45-year-old market to the Museum of Arts and Sciences. As everybody knows, it's a jewel here that we have here in our community, and obviously for the longevity and the sustainability of that organization, they have to start attracting, younger clientele to make sure that they're there to support the museum in the future. It's an amazing project. It's hundreds of hours of work that goes into it on behalf of the 31 class members, and so a full strategic plan and follow-up report was presented to the museum on Friday. So I don't know if you're aware that's going on in the community, but it's pretty impressive to be able to tackle. Last year there was a healthcare challenge, and the year before that it was a challenge by NASCAR. So these are pretty interesting projects and a real benefit to the community. That class, again, graduated on Friday. As we talk about workforce, Rob mentioned the Daytona State Forum coming up next week. One of the issues that's kind of rising there also that you may be aware of if you've heard about, they're talking about an apprenticeship issue at the county. The Chamber is looking at that issue, and most likely tomorrow will be opposing the idea of apprenticeships. The background on that is that the county would like to require that all projects use apprenticeship companies. And the fear and the concern about that is that it's probably going to knock out just about every local company from the bidding process. And with all of the activity that's going on locally right now, the work that Daytona State is doing in preparing the workforce in the technical trades, there is no apprenticeship program here locally. So there's a lot of concern out there in the business community in regards to that particular issue. It'll come before County Council on July 3rd. So we'll be providing more detail and information on that as it comes along. The Alliance of Chambers, as you know, we all work together in Volusia County. We'll be presenting a buy local expo, which I mentioned last month on June 26th. Plans are moving very well. Great support from the airport on that particular project, and hopefully, we'll have a full house out showcasing, that beautiful airport and all of the local activity and products and services that are available right here in Volusia County.
Yeah, how that apprenticeship situation works, as I understand it, if it is a local company, they get a 3% preference if they do not have, so if they get the 3%, then if they don't have an apprenticeship program, they don't, the other company that has an apprenticeship program, they get 3%, even though they're not a local company. So then there's no local preference.
That's it.
That's the real meat of it. So there's no really local preference. And it's kind of sprung up very quickly. In other words, it's not one of those things that's been boiling for the last 2 or 3 years where we could meet that with some sort of training program and to work that out. It's like, well, we want to do this now. And so I think that it's caught a lot of people, especially in the training field, unprepared locally. And that's the real gist of it. I went to a meeting a couple weeks ago about it. I don't think it's that we're being frightened by it or that we're being anti-union or anything like that. It's basically you lose your local preference, and it's happening very quickly to where we can't plan and try to work something out. Maybe if they wanted to do it after a 2 or 3 year span or a couple of years to get a apprentice program started through ATC or through the college or something like that, that might work out, but not something that's going to happen on a deadline, 3 months from now or something.
Who is the force behind that?
I do not know. It's coming from, I don't know. I really do not know specifically.
Nancy, thank you for making us all feel old by announcing which leadership class just graduated.
I was number
all of us
6.
started counting our numbers. It's like,
Which one were you?
I was 19.
I was 6.
Yeah, we have somebody from the city that was in number 1, and it's, when they start talking like that, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. My gosh, this is
The guys are
amazing.
number 1.
Pardon?
They're
Yeah, they're still number 1, so, yeah.
Alive and well.
Larry, I had a project to add. I had a senior moment whenever Nancy was.
That's all right. I have those at least twice an hour.
May I go ahead?
Yeah,
and update
sure. You're okay? You're
I'm
finished?
done.
She's done. Okay.
I've never cut you off, Nancy. You're a wonderful, eloquent speaker.
Yeah, you're
But I wanted, because this project was led by Dr. Kent Sharples and the CEO of Business Alliance, I had not put it on my update, but Project Rama is a project from the Midwest that is considering a location in Daytona Beach, 59 initial employees over 3 years, and last Thursday the County Council approved the local match for QTI.
Okay.
So that is moving along. It's a rather complicated project.
It's a
but
RAMA?
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of it? Okay.
RAMP.
Oh, P, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
RAM.
RAM.
Okay, so are they looking at a specific community yet?
Daytona
Daytona
Beach.
Beach.
That's
Okay.
why I wanted to bring that up to this.
Just mainly warehousing or office or?
A very different process of manufacturing, and would you like to go further on that?
It would generally be referred to as a bioenergy project.
Oh, okay.
That would, the end product would be ethanol.
Bioenergy, that's sort of like they're taking the French fries,
Sort of like-
oil and making diesel out of it or something like that? Is that kind of like what
We're bound by a request for confidentiality, we could tell you, but then you'd have to lock our head in a safe, so I'm
No,
sorry.
I mean, but in general, is that what you mean by that, bioenergy?
The
Sort of
changing
like when
of
you
a...
take other things and make...
This particular project utilizes a plant species that's pretty common around the United States that the prospective business feels would thrive in
Okay.
our environment.
And I would say more, but I don't understand it. I've listened to the process
Oh, yeah.
at least 15 times, and I tried to understand it, but it's...
Well, this has nothing to do with the governor's emphasis on medical medical marijuana, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Well, I know, I mean,
It was
you
bound to
smoke
come
the
up.
tops and make rope out of the bottom.
Is this televised?
No, but I'm guessing you heard about that. I'm guessing you heard about that at your discussion about flex space.
There you go.
With the presentation in Orlando.
Yeah, it's, yeah, the grow, that's going to be a boon to grow light companies, you know? Any other?
That's it.
Yeah, any other comments?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the report. Oh, on the Vision Foundation report, I'm going to defer to our lady next to me here because she has an update on the medical VIM program here.
Yeah,
'Cause I missed the last meeting.
yes, you did. He's missed a lot of meetings. I just want y'all to know. He's a busy man.
Yeah.
Actually, we're moving along quite well. COPCO has completed all of our paperwork and stuff like that as far as becoming a 501c3 project. And Nancy, thank you for that contact. I've tried to get her a few times, but we keep missing each other. But we do have some exciting news. It's building up anyway, and we can't announce anything yet, but it looks very promising that we might be able to partner with Stuart Marchman on a actual building over here near Halifax Hospital. So things are really actually moving along very well. It just seems like it's a snail's pace. So.
Well, the hardest part of the whole thing has been really getting a suitable site. And many of the ones we've come up with are, it's a not-for-profit type of situation. So the city has put a moratorium on a lot of that development. So we've been trying to partner with someone that might already have that. We already have that situation taken care of. But this is really an exciting site because it would be perfect for what we need to do and use it for it.
And I also want people to know that we are working hand in hand, at least conversationally, with the Jesus Clinic folks. So we're trying very hard not to be adversarial in that. We're trying to work some kind of a partnership with them as well.
And the arrangement may be more like they'll have hours, these hours, and they'll have hours. So, so there's two separate times. And because we would serve basically the same group of people.
The same group of people at different times of the day. So anyway, it's just such a need for this community, and it just, one of these days I'm going to come in here and announce that we've actually got something ready to open. So.
Yeah, and really in this community with the number of working uninsured that we have, even though we have now the Affordable Health Care Act, it's still going to be a major problem because a lot of those people really can't afford those premiums, and probably don't have to pay the fine. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. And so that's the reason why we're still pushing ahead, because I think we still have the same situation, and try to alleviate the emergency room from being the healthcare provider for these folks. Any other questions, comments? Thanks. Tim's not here. Okay. Tom Caradonio?
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you pronounced it once, and I try not to forget it. Welcome from Texas?
Well, I'm moving here from Albuquerque. I'm originally from Texas.
Well, okay. Here's the Texas
Where
for
are
right
you
here.
from, Texas?
Houston.
Oh, well, that's okay. We'll talk later.
Okay. Are you North Texan?
I was born and raised here in Houston.
Oh, where?
Wharton?
Oh, yeah.
Wharton? Yeah.
No, Wharton. Well, used to go through there on my way to El Campo.
All right. Yes, El Campo. Now, you guys, okay.
You two can get offline later.
Well, the Butels that owned the
Yeah.
Butel, they were our neighbors in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And they were close personal friends of ours. They were like extended family.
Okay.
So my dad bought all of his Cadillacs from Vic, and we used to go down to El Campo and play at El Campo Country Club while the car was being serviced. And when I got married, Mr. Butel threw a really nice party at his home in El Campo for all the Houston people to come down to. So, yeah, I spent most of my life in Houston, and economic development's always been a big part of our family because my dad was a developer in Houston, and he built the first high-rise outside of downtown in Houston, which M.D. Anderson tore down last year. and all they left was the three naked people statue that he had in the front of it that caused a great stir in 1951 when that building opened. The people from the Bible Belt came over there and wanted him to add a little marble banner across the area, but he convinced them it was art. So, yeah, when I grew up in Houston, there was less than 1 million people. Now there's 7 or 8 million, and I go back once a year at least because my parents are entombed there out on the north side. So I started my life there and got into this business because one of my dad's projects was the Hyatt Regency Houston downtown. So I started behind the front desk in 1972, November 13th. So I did hotels for 21 years, and I've been doing CVBs for 21 years. My first CVB was city department head for the city of El Paso. And I ran all their buildings and Civic Center Plaza and Convention Bureau and Heritage Tourism Project, restoring the 3 missions. And then I went from there to Northern Kentucky, and I was in Northern Kentucky running a 3-county, 43-city CVB right across from Cincinnati. And did that for 14 years, and I got tired of the snow, which was something we got in Houston, as you know, every 20 years, whether we wanted it or not. We'd get 1 day or 2, and there...
Close the schools.
Yeah, everything would close. And up in Kentucky, we got 20 inches in a day, and after 14 years of snow, I looked at my wife and I said, I don't want to do this anymore in the snow, but I want to stay in the business. And I had an opportunity with some friends to go back to Albuquerque, where we had lived in the 80s when I was in the hotel business. So I went back there and I watched snow hit the mountains, and I played golf and went to work in the valley. And then my wife, who's been very good about moving to every place where there's not water, who grew up in Southern California on the water, when she read an article in ARP that this was one of the best places to retire, I think one of the top 3 in that article, and she kept putting it next to my place at the table every time we would sit down to eat or talk. And so finally I read the article and I said, honey, let's go there in January. This was before this job was open or anything. So we came here on our vacation in January and fell in love with it. And then the job came open and I applied for it, and the rest is history. And looking forward this is my last stop. I've been told there will not be a moving truck in front of our house until the kids have to dispose of the property when we're long gone. So I have 2 kids. Our son David lives in Austin, and both of them are proud Longhorns. Made their daddy happy. And yes, ma'am. And my daughter lives in New York City, and she's a freelance travel writer and the associate travel editor for a magazine called Robb Report. And she has a wonderful husband who is from El Paso and Houston. His family started not far from where I grew up in Houston on the southeast side, over in Deer Park area. So that was kind of funny because we knew the family in El Paso, but they didn't date then. They dated at Texas, and they got married, and he's an architect. And then our son's going to get married in October. So then I'm done with them.
Yeah. What do you think?
Actually,
let me tell you, I got some stories for you.
Actually, our daughter's the youngest, and when she was graduating in Texas, she kept asking her brother, when do you get the last check from Daddy? And he said, you're graduating May 16th. You better have money coming in June 1st because you're not seeing anything from Pop. He may give you the keys to a car in the name of a State Farm agent, but that's it. So, and I look at our job at the CVB. We do economic development, one family and one group at a time. But when I was in Kentucky, we had a group called Triad that did our economic development. And there was many occasions when we would have a corporate meeting come in, and the president and CEO of that group was there and had a wonderful time. And then I would call up Dan Taberky over at Triad and say, hey, this guy's here for 2 more nights. He's staying at the Marriott River Center. You may want to contact him because he's really thought his meeting went real well. He told me he's going to be bringing his wife and kids here for a Reds game or a Bengals game in the future. I said, you might want to talk to him because he sounds like he's not happy where he's living. and he might want to bring his company here. And so we picked up, in 14 years, we maybe picked up 3 or 4 companies like that brought in some money. The big thing I try not to do is, like a lot of places, you put all your eggs in one basket. You got to spread them out. A good example of that is where I was, where I was in Kentucky. We had all our eggs in the ComAir basket. They went on strike. That cost us minimum $35,000 a day that they were on strike. Cost us a lot of employees not working in hotels because the business wasn't there. And as a former hotel manager, my hardest thing in August was to have to look at a single mother with 3 kids and say, I don't have any hours for you. So I used to, in Houston, as you know, in Houston, if you come to Houston in August, we usually send you to the medical center, to the neurology center first, and then we say, okay, now enjoy your stay. And I used to implore them, please take your vacations in August so I can keep you on the payroll and keep you working. And that's how I look at it every day here, is we have to keep the people in our segment working, and the only way we can do that is find business. And so we got to find new business. A lot of CVBs like to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. I prefer to go find new lifeboats to save what we can. So we're aggressive now. We're going to be more aggressive. I also have no fear of larger tourist destinations nearby that gloam all the business. You can ask Cincinnati how well I did taking opportunity to have the Cincinnati guest enjoy northern Kentucky while they visited Cincinnati right across the river. It's taking the great attributes we have here and reminding people why they used to come here. And that's what we need to do. People used to, families used to come here. It's the same thing with the Cincinnati Reds, the oldest baseball team in the United States. We have 9 and 10 generations of families that go to the Reds games from southeastern Illinois, southeastern Indiana, West Virginia, southwestern Pennsylvania, southern and southwestern Ohio. And those are the same customers that come to this area. And you just got, a lot of times you got to remind the Midwestern folks that we're the place you always came, we're the place you had a good time at. So how come you haven't brought your grandkids and your kids here? And when are you going to start doing it? So those are the kind of things I'm looking at doing. It's a great staff. I think I got 3 more meetings, and I will have met with the whole entire staff within a week. And we're going to be doing some good things, and we look forward to working with all of y'all, because as I learned through all these years, if you do it yourself, you get real tired and there's no time to enjoy where you live. But if you do it as a group and everybody does it together, we all shine in the same light. And my big deal is I don't care who gets credit, I just care if we get the business in here. So looking forward to working with everybody and looking forward to making it a big success. So nice to meet all y'all. So nice to have a fellow Southeast Texan. Well, I understand we've been looking at LPGA.
Oh, good.
Yeah, my wife likes it.
Take you out there, I'll show you all around.
Yeah.
I might smell a golf trip.
Yeah, if you're a golfer, I'll take you
Yes,
out
ma'am.
on the golf course.
Well, I grew up in golf. My dad was on the board of governors of the Houston Golf Association. He used to run the finance office for the Shell Open and the Coca-Cola Open, all the different sponsorships they had. So he had me out on the course when I was about that big.
Don't expect to win if she takes you
Oh,
out.
no, I know.
Yeah.
I'm getting strokes.
But Tom, yeah, get strokes.
Definitely. I'm a 22, so.
That's okay. I'm not going to tell you what I am.
Okay. And actually, there's water on these courses. I haven't seen water in 2.5 years, because you don't put water on a golf course in the desert. It disappears. All right. Any questions? Or
Glad to have you here.
Thank you for
thank you.
coming here.
Thank you for
Nice
giving
to
me the
meet you.
time, and look forward to working with y'all. If you ever need me to come here, just give me a holler.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Y'all
All right.
take care. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day. See you back at the shop.
You bet.
Brownfield Site Rehabilitation Agreements, the BSRA, from Kelly Scott at Gunster Law. I thought that might be you. We have so many people in the audience. Sometimes it's hard to figure out. It's easy to hide.
Well, again, I'm Kelly Scott. I'm from Gunster. We represent Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and we're working with them on a project in Aero Park, which is a pretty large designated brownfield. It's about a 77-acre area brownfield, and Embry-Riddle owns a 12-acre parcel of that, and they're in the process of redeveloping it. So, here to tell you guys a little bit about it, and I don't know how familiar you are with the brownfields process. I know you've acted as an advisory committee before for some of the other entities coming through with brownfield site rehabilitation agreements. I can go into a little of that, or I can just tell you about the project. I have a few show and tells for you, so it may be helpful. What we've got, I've got copies of the brownfield site rehabilitation agreement for all of you. It's a fairly rote document. It's a standard DEP form, not much changes in it. It essentially says we'll agree to go along and clean up in accordance with DEP rules, and we have a stack of attachment that goes along with it. Didn't make copies of the attachments for everyone. I have a couple if you want to look at them. But probably even more helpful, I brought a couple of diagrams so you can see where the site is and what we're hoping to.
Pictures are better.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I mean, it's always much more helpful. So let me. There's a diagram of where the site is, and it was done by our consultant, Hardman. And the other one, this is a rendering of preliminary site plan. It may change a little bit along the way, dependent upon the conditions as we go through testing and such. We've been lucky so far. The preliminary testing that we've done out there has.
No, we have one of those agreements too. Oh, that is, yeah, okay. That is what that is.
That's it?
That's it? Good.
Is this the research park?
It is.
Yep.
It is. It's right next to the airport, you'll see. Embry-Riddle's parcel is adjacent to the airport, and that's one of the reasons that they ended up with the parcel in a land swap deal with Volusia County.
There is supposed to be a archaeological site on that area.
I don't believe on this side. I mean, on this particular site, nothing like that has been designated, and they haven't found anything in the initial review of the site. It's an old site that was owned by the city from, I think, the 20s until about 1960. And then it was owned by Volusia County School Board, and they used it as their bus park for a while. In 2005, they did a land swap with Embry-Riddle, and that's how they came into owning the property. But still at that point, it was still leased back to the school board, and they used it for their buses. And they just recently cleared out pursuant to the lease.
This is not the complete research park then?
No, it's a 12-acre parcel out of the 77-acre area that had been designated as a brownfield. And the whole area in here, I mean, it's historically, it's got a lot of, history as a landfill from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So there's pretty much the whole area is covered in that. And then, of course, there were a few different things left by the school board that, we're in the process of cleaning up. But so far, so good. We've gone in and done some initial testing to find out what debris was left out there by that historical landfill. And it looks like luckily, none of it's going to be hazardous materials. There's a lot of landfill materials. Probably looks like a lot of old, bottles and such and things like that, and things that have been incinerated from the old incinerator that was near there. But
please check on that historic site.
Oh, absolutely.
The archaeological site.
Yeah, absolutely, I will. We've gone through, there's been probably 4 or 5 historical reports done in the area, and I haven't seen anything mentioning that so far, but I'll have someone double check on that.
Thank you.
But that's the plans you can see. It's going to be part of the Embry-Riddle campus. Right now, the only thing that's on the site in the northeast corner, there's an older building that some tenants have been using, but there are plans to raise that building in midsummer because we do know there's a little bit of contamination. It was historically where they did a lot of oil changes, and there's a pit underneath, so they're just going to raise the building and clean all of that out. And then the development will probably start later this year if we can get all of the environmental issues cleared up. The first thing that's going to be built is a building in the northeast corner and probably the stormwater pond. And, you know, it'll slowly but surely take wings from there. Does anybody have any questions, or?
So again, what your timing is?
Well, we've done some preliminary environmental testing. We hope to have the second wave of it done in the end of the summer, once the building is raised and we can get in there and do everything we need to do. Submit the first report to DEP probably the end of summer, and we're hopeful that, you know, we can start the development easily by the end of the year. So, yeah, we're fingers crossed. So far, we've done different phases of testing, and we're compiling it in a report, and we've got, like I said, one more phase to do once they raise the building. And, you know, from what has historically been in the area, we've been very pleased so far at the results we've been getting, so we're hoping to move it pretty quickly.
Did the contamination get into groundwater?
No, you know, this parcel, it's pretty interesting. Based on what we knew about the other parcels surrounding it, the parcel right to the south of it is a city-owned property, and it used to be part of this. It was split a while back. They've got some pretty major contamination in the groundwater, and they've got it's also under a brownfield site rehabilitation agreement, and they've got a lot of cleanup to do. I mean, and it's a pretty big deal. But under this particular parcel, all the results so far have shown no groundwater contamination, and even surprisingly, very limited soil contamination. Very, very limited. So we got lucky, we think. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
But that's it, and we'll be back once we get all the environmental results compiled and have next steps and know what we're doing going forward.
Well, this will be a very nice project. It's very visible, you know, in the area.
It is.
The cars go by there.
Yeah, and Embry-Riddle's very excited about it. I mean, it's going to be a big portion of their campus, and there's going to be some space for tenants as well, and they're really excited about fast-tracking it, so we're working with them to do what we can.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I assume you are. Nice to meet you.
Any old business? Any new business? Any public comment? We've had it? Okay, next meeting would be July 16th, correct? Any other business come before the group? If not, we're done. Thank y'all.